Hey with besties! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am filming this on December 1st, which means that it is officially Christmas, so I thought that it would be fun to share my list of Christmas book, movie, and show recommendations. But before we get started, I wanted to thank oodie for sending me another wearable blanket. This one is just as lovely as the other one. I ended up picking the one with all of the different kinds of cats on it, so there's like a cat in a sweatshirt, there's a cat in a fishbowl, and it is the cutest thing ever. And if you would like 15% off on your oodie, you can use my code HAN15. I am obsessed with them. You won't regret it. I wear the blue koala one literally every single day and I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, oodie. Back to the Christmas recs. So I compiled a list on my iPad of all of my favorite Christmas books, shows, and movies. So we'll start with the books. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I don't read a ton of like holiday romance books, a ton of like Christmas romance books, so I put two of my favorites on here. The first one is Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh, and I'm terrible at describing what a book is about, so I'm gonna put the description somewhere here on the screen. But I absolutely loved Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. I read it for the first time last year at Christmas, and it is such a sweet and kind of like light and fluffy romance. The writing kind of reminded me a lot of Emily Henry's writing. I felt really connected to the characters and what they were going through. The two main characters of the book have this really cool tradition that they do every year. They meet up at the same exact airport that they met for the first time, and then they take a flight together and they like catch up on life and everything like that, and it is so cute. The next one is The Holiday Switch by Tiff Marcello. This one was such a sweet, like young adult holiday, kind of cheesy rom-com. So the female main character is kind of like a type A personality and she kind of needs everything to be like so-so, but she's also like an anonymous book blogger. Like she really loves to post her book reviews, but she doesn't like reveal her identity. But when her and her coworker, who is kind of like her enemy or like somebody that she doesn't really like, they end up switching phones and like learning secrets about one another. So it's like a really sweet, really fast-paced rom-com for the season. Now these books aren't necessarily Christmas books, I would say, but they are books that I really like to read, like just like around the holidays to kind of like get me in the spirit. So one of them is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. It's just filled with all of the cozy vibes and it's very nostalgic, so I love reading that around the holiday season. Another cozy book, which is kind of more niche because I think it's just like my favorite book in general, so I like to read it like whenever, but I love to read everything around the holidays. It's just, to me, it's like such like a very cozy and comforting read, so I love to reread that one. And if you love to read fantasy, I highly recommend reading Belladonna. And this book is more associated with fall, but when I read it, it really gave me wintry vibes. So I think that it's perfect to read around Christmas. Now, I only have one show recommendation, and it is Dash and Lily on Netflix. I discovered this show about 2 years ago, and ever since I discovered it, I always have to rewatch it every Christmas. It is another like really sweet young adult rom-com. And I am a sucker for like basically any movie that's set in New York City, but I love that the female main character is bookish and the way that they meet is just so cute. So if you haven't gotten around to seeing Dash and Lily yet, I highly recommend it. Now on to movies. Not gonna lie, I did have a list of 35 movies, but I ended up narrowing it down to 14 of my absolute favorites. So starting off strong, my favorite Christmas romance of all time is Something from Tiffany's on Amazon Prime. And I swear I never see anybody talking about this movie, but I genuinely think it's like one of the best Christmas romances out there. And it is newer, like I know that it just came out like a few years ago. And it is also set in New York City, but basically the two main characters are both in relationships. And one of the main characters, the guy, he ends up going to Tiffany's to buy his girlfriend an engagement ring. The female main character, her boyfriend, also went to Tiffany's to buy her, I think it was a pair of earrings or a necklace. But long story short, the engagement ring goes to the wrong person and so does the pair of earrings. This is one of those romance movies where the two main characters have such good chemistry with one another that it's so believable, and I highly recommend you watch it. And I watch this even when it's not Christmas. It's just one of my like favorite winter romances ever. This one is a newer recommendation, but I just watched it for the first time this year, and it's While You Were Sleeping. And I had honestly never heard of it until this year, but I kept seeing like a lot of different people post about it and how it was like a classic, so I thought that I'd give it a shot, and I absolutely loved it. When the female main character witnesses her crush almost get hit by like a literal train, she ends up going with him to the hospital, and then when his family shows up, they think that she is his fiance. But she's not, but she kind of just goes along with what they're saying, so she kind of pretends to be his fiance while he's sleeping. So when he fell on the train tracks, he ended up hitting his head and then he went unconscious. So he was basically asleep for the whole movie, but then she ends up meeting his brother and kind of starts falling for him, and it is just so sweet. Next up, we have Let It Snow, and this is a Netflix film. I love movies that have like separate plot lines and separate characters that all kind of come together at the end. And this movie is funny, it has romance, and we've got a lot of tropes. We have like the best friends to lovers, we have like a pop star romance, and it is one of my favorites. My next one is The Grinch, but specifically the 2018 version. Might be controversial, but I think that it's like the best version that was ever made. I honestly just think it's so funny, and I love the animation style. It's so colorful and it is just so cute, and it's my favorite animated Christmas film. The classic, we have the Santa Claus trilogy. I grew up watching these movies, so I rewatch them every single year and I absolutely love them. This one is not so much a Christmas movie, but it kind of is, but it's Greta Gerwig's Little Women. I watch this movie even when it's not Christmas. It is truly one of the most beautifully done films and beautifully directed, beautifully acted. It is just one of those incredible pieces of cinema that I cannot get enough of. And for some reason, just like watching it around Christmas is just 10 times more special. And if you were looking for like a family-friendly one that didn't really emphasize on like romance, there is Family Switch, and it is also on Netflix. Basically, this one family switches places, so like the daughter is the mother, the son is the father, and then vice versa. And it's honestly just like a fun time. I love Jennifer Garner, she plays the mom in it. And it's just really, really sweet and an amazing family film. Next up, this one might be like my favorite Christmas movie in general, like not saying animated and not saying romance, but The Christmas Chronicles. And it is about these two kids who are left home on Christmas Eve, and the older brother does not believe in Santa Claus anymore, but the younger sister does. So they end up kind of setting a trap for Santa because they want to catch him and they want to see him. And then the trap ends up actually working, so then they are able to go on their roof and find Santa's sled. They end up getting inside the sled with Santa not knowing that they're there, so then they kind of go on an adventure with Santa the entire night. This is one of those movies that like truly encapsulates the Christmas spirit, and it is just so heartfelt, and like you're seeing the older kid like kind of pull away from the Christmas spirit because he doesn't really like believe in this stuff anymore, but then you're seeing his younger sister really believe in this stuff and really want to share that with him, and it's just so sweet, and I really, really recommend it. Next up, we have Love Hard, and this one is so underrated. Again, I don't really see too many people talk about this one. Nina Dobrev stars in it, and basically she does not have a lot of luck when it comes to love, so she goes on dating apps and she writes for a column for her job. She ends up writing about all the disastrous dates that she's gone on, but then she ends up meeting this really, really nice guy. They really get along really well, and she ends up flying out to surprise him for Christmas, and then he turns out to be a catfish, but the person that he was catfishing as is actually one of his good friends, so he promises to help Nina's character get with his best friend as long as she pretends to be his girlfriend to make his family proud. Again, this one's just like a really fun time. It's really, really cute. It's really cute and it's really funny too. Next, we have the classic You've Got Mail. I was introduced to this one, I want to say about a year ago. And this one is another really perfect one if you don't want to watch like a movie where like Christmas is thrown in your face. It's very subtle and just like a really good winter film. Then we have A Cinderella Story, A Christmas Wish. I have seen a lot of people say that they hate it, but I loved it. It was such a good time. I love most of the Cinderella stories. I eat them right up. This one is just perfect for Christmas. I am obsessed with it. But I do know that they took it off of Netflix, and I used to be able to watch it on there. I think that they took it off of Netflix, so I'm gonna have to find like another place to watch it this year. Next up, we have another classic, which is the Home Alone trilogy. My favorite is Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, because like I said, I eat up movies that are set in New York City. Then we have The Polar Express. When I was growing up, this was one of my favorite movies to put on Christmas. We used to have this train that would go around our tree, and you would be able to put like scented oil in it that smelled like hot chocolate. So when the train would go around the tree, it would kind of puff out this like hot cocoa scented smoke, and that's one of my favorite memories. And last but not least, I could not possibly make this list without adding this one, but A Christmas Story. This is the movie that my family and I watch the most out of all Christmas movies. It always makes me laugh, I always quote it, and it is just one of those like warm and fuzzy type movies. So yeah, those are all of my Christmas recommendations. I am challenging myself to do 25 days of Christmas movies, and I have added a few new ones that I haven't seen before, so I'm hoping to find a few new favorites. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to connect with me on my other social media platforms, you can follow me on Instagram at The Heartfelt Library, on TikTok at heartfelthan, on Fable and Goodreads at heartfelthan, and you can subscribe to me here on YouTube. Again, thank you so much for watching.